It is the anniversary of Daggerheart's release, since it released May 20th of last year. So to celebrate the anniversary of one of my new favorite TTRPGs, I'm going to go over my thoughts on Daggerheart from the last year it has been out, and what has been announced since the release, and what I look forward to and hope to see added to Daggerheart. So to start, I have been playing, well, more aptly, been running Daggerheart, basically since its release. I would safely say since June of last year. And like I had mentioned at the start, it has very quickly become one of my new favorite systems to play. One of the things I like about Daggerheart is its narrative structure of how it is played. Similarly to Monster of the Week and other narrative-based TTRPGs of its ilk, it has degrees of success and failure, depending on if you succeed or fail with hope or fear. What I like about it in particular is that it adds some nice complications or just general spice to the game, versus 5e and some other systems, where it's rather binary in its mechanics of whether you succeed or fail. But granted, the inverse to this whole situation, and that I have fallen victim to as well, is that sometimes GMs forget to add those complications, or degrees of success to the roll, and just kind of just push forward with the failure or success. Which granted, the book does give some guidance on how to handle it, but did wish it provided a bit more guidance, or just more examples of how a GM could narratively or mechanically deal with the degrees of success or failure a little more easily. Another thing I like about Daggerheart is a mechanic, which is countdowns. Which basically, for those who don't know, a countdown is where, depending on the situation that the players are going through, the GM may place down some dice, and depending on the actions of the players, tick down, and at the end of the countdown, will resolve the conflict. So as an example, if the players are chasing down a target, and the GM wants to represent this chase, they can start a countdown with 2d6s, with one dice being the players, and another being the target. Depending what the players roll, either that be successes or failures with fear or hope, it will tick down for either side. Let's say the player succeeded with hope. The target die would tick down, but the player's one would. And the inverse of that, if they failed with fear, players would stay where it is, but the targets would tick down. And in this particular encounter, it would end when either the target die gets to a 6, meaning they got away, or if the player's die gets to a 1, means that they have caught up to them. And the numbers in between determine how close or far they are from each other. So overall, my thoughts on the system as a whole are positive. Granted, it's far from perfect. I do wish the book had much more clear or precise rulings on particular mechanics, since there are some things in the rules that are rather unclear and are left to GM discretion, which, granted, isn't new to TTRPGs, but it is still something that can be cumbersome at times. Now onto what I would like to see in Daggerheart in the near future, which with the upcoming Hope and Fear book, we will be getting some of these things, like classes, adversaries, campaign frames, etc. But another thing I would like to see that is being worked on is a pre-written adventure that is being worked on by Chris Perkins, which hopefully could get more people involved in Daggerheart, for GMs that require more structure that pre-writtens can provide. And on the same front, also get a campaign book, which would also be nice, and is also being worked on by Jeremy Crawford. But one thing that hasn't been announced or anything like that, but from panels and stuff that I have seen, has been asked about with no clear answer, and that is an adversary book. Similar to the Monster Manual in 5e and other monster books from other systems, it is just a big book of monsters and creatures and other sorts of adversaries that the players can fight, with stat blocks and motivations, and in general how to run them, which as a GM would be greatly appreciated and would provide me and other GMs with much more options and variety of creatures to run. That is my thoughts and what I look forward to with Daggerheart on its 1-year anniversary, and my hope is that it continues for many years to come. If you enjoyed this video, why not leave a like and subscribe to keep up to date on all things TTRPGs. Bye for now.